Hey everyone, it's Reese here, and this is the third in my video series on calls for papers. So after talking about how you find them, after talking about how you respond to them, we're now leaping to the other side, and I'm talking about how you write them. So this is full of advice on how you put together an effective call for papers, how you make it sort of the kind of call that people will want to engage with, and how you should promote it once it is written. So step one of writing a call for papers is knowing essentially the need. What is the rationale behind the call in the first place? Are you organising a conference? Are you doing an edited collection? Are you doing a journal article? Or in certain cases, have you already got some work and you need some specific pieces of work, specific chapters on a particular topic, whatever it is. And understanding the need, understanding exactly why you're soliciting papers, chapters, articles, or whatever, understanding that. And then you need to set that up in the call. What does that mean? So that's setting up sort of the context, the area. If it's let's say a 50th anniversary of a film, say, you're sort of setting up the importance of the film, you're setting up why people need to talk about it, you're setting up why now is the time, and why this call is essentially soliciting info on that particular film, say. Then you need to be clear about what you are looking for. Are you looking for chapters? Are you looking for conference papers? Are you looking for are you looking for submissions on a particular topic? Are you looking for submissions that do certain things or don't do certain things? And be very clear in your head as you're putting the call together exactly what it is you need. If you're organising a one-day conference and you are looking for 10 papers on a particular topic, know that in your mind. Similarly, if you're organising a big 3-day event and you want as much sort of variety as you can, know that. There's nothing inherently wrong or better with anything, but just know vaguely what you are looking for. Not vaguely, know sort of specifically what you are looking for. Because then you can tailor the call for that. And lastly, what always helps is sending some sort of prospective ideas. So you are the editor or the organiser or whatever, you're the person who's put out the call, so you should know the area, and you should know the kind of things you're expecting to see, the kind of things that are sort of likeliest to come up. So it's always useful when you're assembling a call to give some potential ideas, some prospective thoughts, for people who are interested but not perhaps inherently sure, or it might be the case that the ideas sort of kickstart a thought for them. So it's always handy on a call to say, potential ideas might be but are not limited to, allow that flexibility, if you're able to allow that flexibility. And then offer a list, offer sort of, 10 is normally sort of the sort of amount you would see. But give a sense. You're not just saying I'm looking for calls on this particular thing. Say I'm aware that these are the areas that are likely to be of the most interest, or sort of areas that are likely to be fruitful. Because setting up a call is one thing, but sort of essentially you want to help people along. You want to help them respond. You want lots of responses, so making it as easy as possible for people to respond is never a bad thing. After the generalities come the specifics. So there are certain specifics you should be able to provide, deadlines for. If you're soliciting abstracts, and that's normally likely to be the way, what is the deadline for these abstracts to come your way? And sort of specifics again, what do you need? Do you need 300 words? Do you need 500 words? Whatever. Do you need bios? What length are they going to be? Making that very clear is very, very helpful. And then if you have a deadline for sort of final dates as well, if it's a conference, we're accepting submissions up to this date, and then the conference is this date. If you're able to let people know when they'll hear back from you, that is always something. Giving those sorts of as many of those kinds of details as you can is really, really helpful. Similarly, if you know, so if it's an edited collection, if you know roughly how many chapters you're going to have, if you know how many papers you're looking for, that's useful. If you know where it's going to be published, if you know sort of what the idea of that sort of plan is, and if you know a timeline of that, sort of share that. People like that. People like having that information, and because it enables them to work to something. If they're tempted, but they see that the deadline doesn't align with their own work, they won't waste the time on it. Or similarly, if they see the deadline and know that they have the flexibility, that can really encourage lots of conversation. So sort of providing the logistical details that you can are really, really useful. On that note as well, if you're doing edited collections, journal articles, whatever, if you're able to share sort of style guide infos, if you're able to say that it will be in MLA or MHRA or whatever, and if you can give that, first off, that helps people, and it will help them prepare in advance by sort of trying to align to the guides they know are there, and it will save you as editor or organiser a lot of hassle down the line of having to sort of go back to the contributors or having to do it yourself. And so sharing as many of the logistical things as you can do. Sort of, you want to allow scope with the general stuff. You know, when you're putting out a call, you want to solicit and see what comes back. But with the sort of the logistical stuff, you want to be as detailed and as clear as you can early on. And so providing clear deadlines, providing sort of a clear list of what you need, and providing sort of a clear thing of this is where it needs to be sent, this is where any queries are going to go to, etc. And providing sort of as many logistical details about endpoints as you can, if you have them. And it may not be the case that you do, but if you have them, that is never a bad thing. So this is my way of thinking. Yes, sort of be general, be sort of specific, general with the actual sort of call, the soliciting element. In 99 times out of 100, it might be the case that you're putting out a call for a specific thing, but generally being as general as you can, but then being as specific as possible with the actual logistical nuts and bolts. It is very important, as best you can, to sense check the call for papers, and often the best way to do this is, conduct your own editing and get a second pair of eyes to read it. Get them to read it, see if it all makes sense, get them to find the errors in advance, and get them to make sure as well that the dates, the emails, they all work, they align, and don't ask for calls to come in on a date that you've said is a Sunday if it's a Monday, for example, because that just causes confusion. Similarly, if you've set up an email account for the call, send an email to it just to make sure it works without problems. And you sort of want to mitigate against any potential problems that you might have as early as you can, and sort of you can do it before they're likely to crop up. That is brilliant. What I would say as well, and this is something I stress to my students, is that a good writer is a good reader. So if you really want a sense of sort of call for papers, a thing that you should do, I think, again, to make sure that it sort of vaguely aligns, is read other calls. If you're in an academic sphere, you're likely to already receive lots of these calls. You can check some of the websites that I've mentioned in previous calls videos, and we'll mention again in a moment, and read other ones and see sort of, are there any boxes they're ticking that you should be, that you aren't already? Are there any boxes they're ticking that you don't need to tick? Just make sure, sort of compare it against a few other examples of calls, and to make sure yours aligns and does exactly what you need it to do. And lastly, promotion. And promotion is kind of easy, because in the previous video where I talked about finding calls for papers, the kind of places you would look, it's essentially a list really of the kind of places you would want to promote. So call for paper websites like CFP list, like the UPenn CFP list, if there are specific bodies that are particularly relevant to the call, sharing them there, and sharing them on your social media, sharing them in places where, if you're connected with lots of people who might have an interest, sharing it there and encouraging people to share on your behalf. And then lastly, sending it to relevant mailing lists, a mailing list you may already be members of, mailing lists that sort of align nicely with the call or sort of aspects of the call, and just promoting and inviting that level of engagement in all platforms. Because the more people know about something, the likely you are to get a response. So those were some thoughts on how you assemble a call for papers, and really my own view is that kind of it's going to be the proof is in the pudding, really. The first one will always be the toughest one, and it will be an experience that will grow, that you'll get to understand more and more as you do it. So give it a go, solicit feedback and see sort of what comes back. You never know. You never know is all I can say. And hopefully that has been of some use, and if you have sort of other ideas for things you want to hear, if you have sort of suggestions, your own suggestions from when you've done this previously, or if you have any queries about sort of the kind of things to do, please do comment below to let me know. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, make sure to subscribe, and if you have any ideas for future videos, comment below and let me know. or ring the bell to hear when the next videos are coming out. And thank you very much for watching, everyone. I will look forward to seeing you all in the next one.